The eternal question, which console should you choose, Xbox or PlayStation? And for me, the answer has never been so clear. Yes, PlayStation leads in sales and even released a new Pro version. Despite being overpriced, it boasts the most powerful hardware in console history. But where are the games? The PS4 delighted fans annually with several groundbreaking exclusives, making it hard to argue over which console to buy. Now, 4 years into the PS5 era, it has offered little more than sequels and unnecessary remakes. The handful of solid exclusives it has can be counted on one hand, and most of them are now available on PC. Meanwhile, Xbox offers the most affordable console of this generation, the Series S, alongside the phenomenal Game Pass service. With the recent addition of Activision games, including Call of Duty Black Ops 6, available through the subscription, and titles from third-party developers like Stalker 2, Atomic Heart, and Lies of P, Xbox presents a compelling case. As you can see, the console wars are back in full swing. Today, I'll share my thoughts on the Xbox Series X, which I've owned since the start of this generation and never regretted. However, it isn't perfect. Let's dive into its pros and cons over time. Let's start with the design, as this Malevich's cube can seamlessly blend into any setting, no exaggeration. Of course, design's a matter of personal taste, but the Xbox Series X has proven its adaptability through several house moves. Its minimalistic look ensures it fits effortlessly into any interior. At the front, the only illumination comes from the power button, and only when the console is on. The rest of the time, it remains discreet and unobtrusive. A subtle but delightful design touch is the green color visible within the cooling vent. It's achieved using green plastic instead of LEDs, adding a unique charm without consuming power. Speaking of placement, the console can be positioned either vertically or horizontally, with all necessary feet and mounts included by default, unlike its competitor. The only downside tied to its design is the proprietary memory expansion cards, a throwback to earlier console generations. Unlike PlayStation, which allows for standard M.2 SSD installation, albeit high-speed ones, Xbox requires purchasing specific memory cards that are significantly more expensive. Fortunately, some Chinese manufacturers now offer adapters for this issue. I'll leave a link in the description for anyone interested. The controller can also be linked to the design discussion, as its shape differs significantly from that of the PlayStation's, sparking debate among reviewers about their preferences. Personally, I find both controllers comfortable, though switching between them takes a short adjustment period. Once accustomed, the Xbox controller feels perfect in hand and is great for gaming. The materials are pleasant to the touch, and the build quality is excellent. After nearly 4 years of daily use, even the thumbsticks on mine haven't worn out entirely. There's some visible wear, but they still perform well overall. As for the console itself, there's little else to mention design-wise. However, the plastic does tend to collect fingerprints and isn't easy to clean. On the bright side, it doesn't scratch as easily as the glossy central panel on the PlayStation. For those not keen on the standard black version, Microsoft recently released a Cosmic Edition, featuring white with green speckles, which looks intriguing, and a fully white version without a disk drive. These variants are technically identical, apart from their storage configurations. From the start, all current-gen consoles feature AMD's Zen 2 8-core processors and RDNA 2 GPUs. While these specs were cutting-edge at launch, they now appear slightly outdated, especially with AMD releasing Zen 4 processors. However, this hardware still delivers a comfortable gaming experience across all modern titles. We'll dive deeper into the user experience later. Unlike Sony, Microsoft chose not to create a mid-gen refresh like the PS5 Pro. Some PlayStation fans interpret this as Microsoft conceding this generation, especially given the sales disparity. PlayStation has sold 54 million units compared to Xbox's 27 million. That said, the PS5 Pro's GPU boasts 16.7 teraflops, a notable increase over the standard PS5's 10 teraflops. However, the Xbox Series X already launched with 12 teraflops, sitting somewhere between the two PS5 versions, but closer to the standard model. Microsoft's decision not to upgrade seems reasonable, as the Series X still holds its own. While comparing consoles' performance by teraflops isn't the most precise metric, it provides a rough understanding of their power. Sony's main goal with the PS5 Pro upgrade appears to be introducing PSSR, a new upscaling technology that developers will need time to optimize. This feature will likely reach its full potential only in the next generation of consoles. Considering Microsoft's approach, they could easily adopt the existing FSR technology for the next generation, which developers are already familiar with. This makes a specifically tailored upscaling solution for this generation unnecessary, at least in my opinion. You can check out detailed tests of the PS5 and PS5 Pro on the channel and share your thoughts in the comments. Meanwhile, Xbox performs excellently as it is, running all games smoothly without the need for additional enhancements. The major improvement from the previous generation is the ability to choose performance settings, one prioritizing stable 60 frames per second with slightly reduced visual quality, or another at 30 frames per second that delivers the highest possible graphics settings, often including ray tracing. Most games offer both modes, though there are exceptions. Some titles only support 30 frames, while others can even reach 120 FPS. Beyond performance, what's even more intriguing are the unique features Xbox offers to enhance the overall gaming experience. For example, Quick Resume is one of Xbox's standout features, allowing you to suspend a game at any point without waiting for a save, and then resume exactly where you left off, even after the console has been turned off. While this sounds perfect, it doesn't always work seamlessly in practice. In online games, Quick Resume often causes more problems than it solves. For example, in Apex Legends, it resumes the game at the lobby, but since the connection to the server is outdated, you're kicked back to the main menu after about 30 seconds. This means you have to reconnect and wait anyway, which is frustrating. The same issue occurs in other multiplayer titles, as Quick Resume frequently disrupts server connections. Unfortunately, you can't fully disable the feature since it's a built-in system function. To avoid these issues, you must manually exit the game before turning off the console, which wastes extra time. In single-player games, however, Quick Resume truly shines. It lets you jump back into the action instantly, making it genuinely useful, at least for the first few days or weeks. Over time, though, I noticed the system memory starts to fill up, leading to stutters and frame rate drops during gameplay. Restarting the game through the guide menu seems to resolve these issues. Interestingly, I haven't found reports of similar problems online, so this might be a quirk of my console or an isolated issue. If you've experienced anything similar, share your thoughts in the comments. Overall, Quick Resume is a great feature for those who frequently play single-player titles. However, if you primarily focus on multiplayer games, like I do, it becomes more of a hindrance than a help. Another interesting feature is backward compatibility. More precisely, not just backward compatibility itself, but how the console enhances older games through FPS boost and auto HDR. It's a well-known fact that no one, apart from PCs of course, can compete with Xbox when it comes to supporting games from previous generations. While there are a few games that even the Xbox Series does not support, these are rare exceptions. The majority of older games are available both for nostalgic purposes and for replaying with improved quality. Auto HDR enhances visuals and often increases texture resolution, while FPS Boost, as the name suggests, boosts the frame rate in older games, which often ran at a stable 30 frames per second. Now, replaying older games feels much more enjoyable. What's more, these features are noticeably more impactful than the Game Boost feature introduced in the PlayStation 5 Pro. However, as useful and interesting as this feature is, it's mostly irrelevant for players who focus solely on the latest releases. And, of course, the cherry on top of all this is Game Pass. Seriously, if it was once considered just a collection of indie titles and second-rate junk with a few exceptions, by the end of 2024, it has become the ultimate solution for gamers. In October, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 was released, featuring a standard campaign and multiplayer mode where you can easily sink hundreds of hours. In November, the second Stalker game launched. Despite being quite buggy, its atmosphere and immersive world can also keep you hooked for hundreds of hours if you decide to explore the entire zone. And just recently, in December, Indiana Jones came out. This means that every month, Game Pass offers a major AAA title that provides dozens, if not hundreds, of hours of gameplay, all for the cost of a subscription. Such generosity doesn't happen often, of course, but the subscription is still regularly updated with exciting new games. If big AAA titles are the main reason to get the subscription, everything else included is an excellent bonus. For example, Lies of P, a hardcore reimagining of Pinocchio in the style of Bloodborne, Nine Sols, a platformer roguelike reminiscent of Hollow Knight, or the similarly captivating Death's Door, among many others. Of course, everyone has different tastes, but here you'll find at least a couple of games for everyone. Personally, I've been sticking to this subscription lately mainly because of multiplayer games. For example, Hell Let Loose, a hardcore simulation shooter set during World War II. Various Battlefield titles included in EA Play, which comes with Game Pass Ultimate, Forza Horizon, which does have a single-player campaign, but is always more fun when competing against other players, and so on. In short, Game Pass has never been as appealing to gamers as it is now. And the best part is that its library will only continue to grow. When you compare the cost of the subscription to buying each game separately, it's almost a no-brainer. As for me, I only turn on my PlayStation occasionally, mainly for rare exclusives, and most of those are from third-party studios. From the interesting titles released in 2024, I can only think of Helldivers 2, an absolutely fantastic co-op shooter, the remake of Silent Hill 2, which is, of course, a timeless classic, Stellar Blade, although mainly for testing the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro, and Astrobot, the only game on this list developed directly by Sony. It's not that I'm trying to criticize PlayStation, but there just don't seem to be many arguments against Game Pass, especially with its abundance of new releases. Ideally, of course, it's best to own both consoles to play everything without limitations, or better yet, a gaming PC. But that's a completely different budget. What makes Xbox so appealing is its pricing policy. The standard console is reasonably priced, and there's even the Series S for gamers who aren't too demanding about graphics. Add Game Pass, which saves a massive amount of money, and you've got a highly attractive option. For an average person who just wants to relax on the couch after work or school and play something interesting, Xbox seems more appealing to me because it offers a much wider selection of games. And that's without even mentioning the possibility of emulation. While I don't personally use it, I know many people buy Xbox consoles specifically for that reason. There's also multimedia functionality. On PlayStation, even the browser is limited. You can only access it via direct links. Meanwhile, Xbox offers a full-fledged version of Edge, allowing you to browse the web, watch series or movies, and use the console as a replacement for a smart TV or TV box. So that's my opinion. I play on Xbox much more often than on PlayStation, but that's just my case. Feel free to share your thoughts on 9th generation consoles in the comments. That's all for today. Thank you for watching until the end. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new videos, and I'll see you in the future right here on this channel.